This is the final part that I'll have to record for this hour-long interview. We're now at the part, I did a part 5, so this would be considered part 6 of the CPS investigator Alex Schmidt in Portland, Oregon. And so this is the part, like, I ended it on 41:37, but I rewound it just a little bit, so it's not too far ahead from the part 5. And so this is around the area where, again, he's trying to, like, imply that there being a noticeable theme and or pattern of people ignoring me, implying that it's me who's just seeing it that way, and that's not the case, and saying, that it's people get busy and they don't have to respond. But I told him about if I didn't respond, then it'll be a completely different story. And he said, yeah, that would not be good. but it's okay if they, during an open investigation that was supposed to be closed months ago, it's okay if they ignore. And he admitted that it was his fault that this investigation was extended past 60 days. And look at him still willing to continue to ignore because he gets busy and he's being selfish. All right, so let's play it.
You feel like they were ignoring you? Is that what you said?
Well, when it came to a certain, but I'm not saying it like the other stuff because I don't want you to try to lump it together.
Yeah, there is like a little bit of a pattern here. Like,
exactly.
Not responding, and so I'm trying to figure out.
And it's evident. I have it on the email. Like, even you're doing the same thing right now as, like, seeing me as someone who's just taking it that way. But if it's apparent that if you keep trying to communicate with someone and they don't say anything, they're ignoring you. They're not talking to you.
That's true. There is a point where someone's ignoring you.
And that has happened.
What was the...
They blamed me for our mom's death, my family, my sisters. And that's why we have some rivalry. So I say, you know what, forget it. I won't even deal with this. I don't want to fight. I just stay to myself. I say, it's my responsibility anyways. I'll do it.
Well, I would encourage you to ease up on that. Families, people have their disagreements. Families fight. It's normal. But
you're telling me. You should be telling them.
I don't talk to them now. I mean, I do some, but I'm not their caseworker.
Right.
I'm just saying,
you're my caseworker because of some idiot that has a degree that manipulated and abused his authority. That's the only reason why I'm here, and I'm furious about it, and I spoke about it, and no one's saying anything. I'm going to make sure this is known worldwide. I'm going to go speak to someone in the city council and say that it's not just enough for people to just ignore and say, oh, it's because of this that this is happening. You're crazy. Everyone's trying to make it seem like I'm the one who's mentally unstable, but they're not looking at it like they're seeing it from their perspective. I see it from you guys' perspective, but no one can see it from my perspective for some reason.
Another thing is there's nobody who really investigates therapists with complaints about a therapist unless they do something criminally wrong. Whereas children, there's DHS. We investigate if there's a possible concern for a child. But if someone says, it's like anything. If you
it's proven right.
What do you mean?
So if the child safety is a concern, when I'm telling the therapist what I'm going to do, and he should be able to initiate some type of safety protocol to, like, maybe something needs to be checked out. I kept saying it. So I just said, forget it. Because of that, I left.
I think some of the things, my point I'm trying to is, like, I think some of the things you're hoping to happen, they don't really exist. There isn't, like, a thing for that. Like, if you, like, there's just, the police are, like, the only people who will possibly do anything a lot of times, and they only act when there's a crime, possibly. And so when like the point I was saying earlier, there's a lot of things that happen, and it's like, yeah, that's weird, or that's not cool, but that's not a crime. It just kind of gets swept up. Like, let's say
So damaging someone's property is not a crime?
Well, it is, but the problem is, how are you going to find who did it? It's unfortunate, but the reality is, like...
And he's an idiot because I told him about me having proof and evidence of one of the individuals who did it, who popped my tires, or the guy Anthony Smith, who goes by Tony Montana in Portland, Oregon. He recently saw me at the park with the dude that knows Pastor Manyweather, and I told him straight up to his face, "You're not happy to see me." And he said, "Yes, sir, I've been looking all over for you." Then he got my message on my phone. He got my phone number, my text now fake phone number, and texted me for a couple days, and he still was on that same, basically that BS. I was gonna say that fallback, not fallback, but like when somebody tells you they're gonna do something, then they don't do it. They just be talking out the side of their neck. I was gonna say out their ass, but anyways, you can clearly see that this guy is making every excuse in the book that he can to counteract me, basically to make it seem like I'm mentally unstable and I need to be in therapy. And even though he prolonged this investigation, that's part of the frustration. And then he's trying to argue down with me about my problems, but he's not paying attention to, like, you guys can clearly see it. It gets annoying.
Definitely delete camera footage.
Yeah, like places don't keep their footage, and they're able to do that because they can't just have a warehouse full of footage from every single hour of every single day.
Right.
So, like, it's no different than, like, if I go outside my car now and there's a big dent in my car and there's no one around. I can call my insurance and say, "Hey, there's a dent in my car. I don't know who did it."
Okay.
And they'll say, "All right, well, we can only give you, like..."
Well, I bet you if something did happen to his car and he didn't know who did it, but I do know who did it, but he didn't have proof. I bet if it seemed like everywhere he go, all of a sudden something wrong with his car, then he'll start to pay attention. Like, why does it seem like it almost seems like someone's following me? Because how did someone come here and do this again? It's like if he see a pattern of some coincidences, he probably, never mind, I forgot, he's so programmed, he won't even recognize a pattern. Like, he'll be like, "Oh, it's just a coincidence." It could happen the same way over and over again at the same place at the same time. And it probably could even be on camera. He'll be like, "Oh, it's just a coincidence. Nobody, it's not someone who's directly harassing me." He'll just take it that way every time he comes home. If his tires are popped, and and even if he didn't go anywhere and he fixed his tire and then went home and saw that it was full and came out the next day and saw the same tire pop, he'd probably still believe it's just a coincidence.
A little bit of money for that, and then guess what? My insurance is going up, even though I did nothing wrong. And that's just kind of how life is.
Okay.
And that's again why I think a therapist is a good idea, because I'm not trying to say, like, Chidozie is insane. I don't know what she's talking about. It's just what you're saying. I'm sure
He didn't help us, and then he lied and made a CPS investigation.
right. So if that's true,
That's not help.
That's awful.
Right, so you see who I'm talking about is Chidozie Urom, the intern therapist who was being retaliatory when he told me not to cancel and stop going. He told me what's the word? I can't remember the word he used, but he was encouraging me to stay. And then shortly after that, that's when that false CPS investigation was initiated. But the thing is, what the point I made here is telling him how I kept telling Chidozie's black ASS, his stuck up, the S word that they use for men who act like feminine female B's and P words. That guy deliberately ignored me and kept saying I'm just paranoid, or maybe I'm just seeing things that way. But then he goes and creates a false CPS claim saying I said that my family's in a cult and I was missing sleep again. So he thinks that I'm experiencing some psychosis again, and sent it to the hotline having them investigate me. One, I did not say my family's in a cult. And like I told this so-called gentleman here, Alex Schmidt, about that situation, I was like, I said, first of all, cults do exist. You can see them online. It's not some made up fairy tale. Two, if I did say that my family is in a cult, what does it have to do with me being mentally unstable? And me telling, first of all, he twisted what I said about the not getting any rest. He told me before he initiated this claim, this false CPS investigation, he told me he feels like I'm taking his time for granted. The same man who used to rush me when he told me he's giving me an hour, told me he wanted to make it fair for his other participants because he believed everyone deserves some time. It was something along those lines. Either everyone deserves a fair amount of time or gets something like that. But he was making me know that he cared about, there were some others that he wanted to make time for in the week. So he would cut my time without even addressing me about it. He would just do it in the middle of it. He was a freaking, I can't even explain how this man was, but he better not, he knows he never wants to see me face to face. He's a wimp. He's a coward.
But there's really, other than like going to the media or trying to sue them, that's the only real recourse you have. So I just don't want to get the impression that like you're being ignored. It sounds more like the people you are reaching out to, they're not capable of doing anything about it.
Right.
Okay, I'm glad at 45 minutes and approximately 50 seconds, he said something other than going to the media or suing them. There's nothing really, there's no other real recourse for what had taken place or what happened. So that also, to me, with him saying what he just said, hold on, let me see.
These are the good communicators to say anything.
Oh yeah, about the ignoring. Let me rewind that. He said something, because I have emails showing how the people were constantly ignoring me. And they're from different organizations. They all ignore the same factors. I told them what happened. And of course, I know that they can't do anything, but nobody even says anything. They don't be like, oh, this is unfortunate, but I apologize. There's nothing we can really do. Even if they did that, that will show some sort of professionalism and some sort of empathy for the situation, even if they were being fake. Now, don't try to play like y'all can't be fake now when you being fake most of your lives when you're doing your careers.
Yeah. Or trying to sue them, that's the only real recourse you have. So I just don't want to get the impression that like you're being ignored. It sounds more like
he doesn't want me to get the impression that I'm being ignored, yet I have emails and emails and emails showing that I'm being ignored. And I'll make another video showing that.
The people you are reaching out to, they're not capable of doing anything about it.
Right. And these are the good communicators to say anything about it.
That is an issue. But again, like I said, like it's usually not because they're like intentionally doing it. It's usually like they're really busy or you're a former client or something, and like I know how it is, like former clients will call me about something and I want to reach out and I hope I can, but the reality is like other cases it's like I don't have to call them. I want to be a good, person or whatever, but when you got other problems I have to deal with, I'm not going to make the time to call that the person I worked with a year ago because they had a question about one thing.
But I'm not somebody that you worked with a year ago. And Christina, I worked with her a year ago, but she was the one who introduced you to me and didn't tell me that both of you were not working on the case. She just came there. You later at this interview, Mr. Schmidt, told me that you're the one who's working on my case and she had moved on to another position. So if I send an email, she doesn't communicate that to me. Neither do I receive a response back from her email, and also from Dawn Andrews, who's the Metropolitan Public Defender's she's a public defender for Parent and Child Advocacy Department, and her assistant doesn't respond to me. And then also every time she's supposed to meet up with me, something always comes up, and I get that, and I even was honest about that in the email, saying I understand those things can happen, but it was a consistent pattern of things. Every time it came to me, it was always some sort of issue. And then she didn't even show up. She didn't even say anything. And then like a day or two later, they told her, oh, well, I'm sorry. Or it might have been longer than that, but I have it on email anyways. But she was saying there was a family emergency that came up. I wonder what that so-called family emergency was that happened at the exact time on the exact day that she was supposed to meet with me, but not any other time. And I get it. Sometimes coincidences like that happen. And I did tell them that I wasn't trying to be insensitive to her family emergency, but it just seemed like something keeps happening in conjunction with all this other stuff of them ignoring me, and then also trying to tell me. Even Jennifer Evans herself, which is the assistant of Dawn Andrews at Metropolitan Public Defender's Office, Parent and Child Advocacy Department, She told me that she appreciated me for sticking up for myself this time, because last time I saw the same pattern of them saying, oh, well, your mental health. They kept trying to like throw that on me, dump it on me so that I can accept, oh, maybe I do have a mental health problem because these professionals are telling me something about my mental health. And I listened to whatever they said. Last year, I did everything they said to do. That's how I got my son back in 6 months versus a year to 18 months, which is the normal time to get your child back. But I was so cooperative and complied so well that everything I was doing and saying was proving all the paperwork pretty much wrong. Like, yeah, she has shown the capability to be able to do this. She has shown this. She has shown that. And then they even told me within 20 years, I was one of the only parents that had done all the requirements that it takes to get your child back. So now y'all want to ignore me because you want to force me to play this game again, but this time you want to irritate me or agitate me more so that you have a reason to get me involved into an actual legal case. So you can put me in the psychiatric hospital or you can put me in jail or prison, trying to ruin my life so you can capitalize off of it. I'm none but a number to y'all motherfucking.
I have to say something about that because the same
I ain't nothing but a number. Like that song, age ain't nothing but a number.
thing happened with Mrs. Andrews. It's almost as if she had some sort of tone with me in the email, but I could have just been perceiving it. But she was like, if I don't hear anything back from you, she messaged me this on a Saturday, said if I don't hear anything back from you on this day, I'm going to tell Alex that he doesn't have any reason to continue or proceed or something like that. But then she stopped saying something, and then also she didn't never follow up with you because you're telling me on the phone it's been a month since you heard from her. So that's kind of like, what are you doing?
So my guess on that is like she was like your attorney for the DHS case, so I'm guessing, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing she did what she did with you when she met with me and everybody as like a courtesy.
Oh, okay.
Because she was your former client.
Right.
But when the DHS case was dismissed, when was that, like November or something? Like you got it back in August, a couple months later we dismissed. She's not really your attorney anymore.
Oh, so this must not really be a case then.
Well, it's an investigation.
Okay, so
It's
it's
not
just
an
an
open case.
investigation.
Yeah, maybe
That
that's
makes
also,
sense.
people get confused on that all the time. So an open case is where we say,
Well, I appreciate
we
it.
think the child's unsafe, we have to do something about it, either go to court or go over the safety plan or something like that. And so my job has been assessing, is the report about possible psychosis and mental health.
Right.
So my job has been to investigate that. And, I should have been better on it than I was. But we have a lot of cases. Again, you hear the theme though, it's like everybody's got a lot of stuff going on, everybody's busy. So I'm guessing Dawn came out as a courtesy to help you and see if there was a possible case to be opened.
Okay.
And then I was doing my investigation, and it took long, it's taking way too long, and that's my fault.
Okay.
And I'm guessing now she sort of said, I was trying to help Geneva some, but I'm not really her attorney. I'm not actually representing her. I was kind of doing this as a courtesy. Now, her communication, I can't speak to that. She probably could have
She
been
didn't
more
say
clear.
anything to me.
And I could be wrong, but I'm guessing you're not paying her every month for your attorney services, right? And so,
The funny part is I wasn't paying her last time when she was my attorney either, you nitwit. She's a public defender, a-hole.
Public defender.
yeah, exactly. So I'm guessing she worked with you for
You getting paid off tax dollars too, bruh.
I wanted to help you out and, be there.
I appreciate that part.
I don't know. It's tough to say because I don't know for sure, but if it would be different if we were heading to court and something like that, then she would probably be returning again. But
Okay.
I'm still investigating and trying to close this out. So what I gotta do is talk to SCI, talk to Donnie, see what the process is for the therapist, because I think, do you think therapy is very helpful for you in the long run? Find a good therapist that you like.
Okay.
Because it feels to me like you could benefit from having someone to talk to you about these things that you go through.
Maybe not, because they might do like this guy and just totally go on the deep end and say something I didn't even say.
Yeah.
And then misconstrue what happened. Me wanting to get sleep doesn't mean I'm not taking your time for granted. Like he said, he think I'm taking his time for granted. But that, never mind.
It wasn't like a grad student.
Yeah, he was a grad student. He was an intern.
So maybe, every job takes some figuring out.
Yeah.
You know,
and you see how he just nonchalantly says every job takes some figuring out? Wow. That's it, guys. He just nonchalantly says every job takes some figuring out. As if his job was so difficult that him being retaliatory is something he need to work on. Oh, house cleaning. Housekeeping. Okay, guys. Well, I'm just going to end it there so I can talk to the lady and tell her that someone left trash under the sink with poopy diapers and hangers. Okay. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Oh, good. They was probably knocking on someone else's door, so I probably don't have to right now. But, yeah. I just want you to please pay attention to that last part is how he just said, well, maybe not every job takes some figuring out. That doesn't mean it's okay to lie on someone and ruin their life and dictate their life because every job takes some figuring out. Him telling me that he felt like I was taking his time for granted because I wanted to get some sleep and cancel our upcoming session doesn't mean that it's okay to just lie and say something to try to get CPS to investigate you. But you ignored us when we were telling you about it, and then you tell us we were paranoid. You guys are the people who need to be mentally evaluated. For real, psychologically evaluated. You need a psych valve, both of you. Alex Schmidt and Chidozie Urom. I think they were made for each other.